Hi, everybody. This is Marie Prevail from Prevail Homes Residential Assisted Living Facility. Today, we are so blessed and excited to have the beautiful Miss Michelle Seitzer. She's here from Caregiving Advice, and she is here with a lot of information for us. I thought she would be a very good asset for this channel so that way we can be able to share information for our caregivers that are out there, because not everyone needs an ALF, not everyone needs a SNF, not everyone needs a independent living, and sometimes our caregivers, they don't have a lot of resources. So I thought she would be a very good person to have onto our channel. So without further ado, I won't keep you guys too long. We'll have her go ahead and start off by just introducing herself to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for that lovely introduction.
We're excited.
Yes, this is so exciting. So a little bit about me. I've been a caregiver for a long time. I say for most of my life because I'm the oldest of 5 girls. So I was always taking care of a little baby, and it just came naturally to me. So I think caregiving was just always meant to be part of my life. A lot of nurses in my family as well. So it just seems to be a heritage of caregiving. So I want to equip caregivers with help and hope. That's what I'm all about, is help and hope, because that's what caregivers need. You need hope to keep going, and you need help with the things that are hard, because there's lots of hard things in caregiving. Even if you have a background in caregiving like me, there's still a lot of hard things. But if you're new to it, as many people are, they get thrown into the role and it's overwhelming. And if you're handling day-to-day care tasks, you're not necessarily thinking about resources and planning and future decisions. And sometimes those future decisions can come at you very fast, and
Absolutely.
You may feel, unprepared to meet those challenges. So that's where I try to step in and give people a starting point. I like to, a lot of times in the coaching services that I provide, one-to-one coaching services, it's a conversation. I have a casual, I try to make it comfortable and just talk to the caregiver and hear what they say to me about what they're struggling with. And then from that conversation, I prepare a list or a presentation of resources in their community or online that I think would be helpful to their specific, unique situation, because that's a challenge too. Everybody's caregiving situation is so unique and so different. And like you said, not everyone needs an assisted living, not everyone needs independent living, but just to know what those options are and, to know how they could benefit you is good information to have. So that's what we try to do at Caregiving Advice, is equip people with the resources and the encouragement too, because really you need a lot of it.
You definitely need a lot. And I think, just from someone who's new, when I went on your website, I thought the website in itself was super helpful. And then, to add on to the coaching that you provide, I'm sure it's just like, someone who may be like just all alone, not sure, their husband just got diagnosed with something, or, their child, just somebody who needs help. So I think what you're doing, whether it's the resources you provide for free on your website, as well as the coaching, that's definitely something a lot of people would be able to find useful for sure. So now I have a few questions for you. Tell me a little bit about just 3 mistakes that you think, just being in this caregiving world, speaking to all these people who are now caregivers, and what are 3 mistakes that you have found that a lot of us make?
Well, first I want to just say, I don't try to think of it as mistakes, which is no judgment on your question, but just caregiving is hard enough. And
it is.
And we're learning and we're growing. But there's definitely areas where I think caregivers, one I would say, is undervaluing themselves and not giving enough credit for the role that they're playing as a caregiver, because a lot of family caregivers especially might think, well, I'm just getting groceries for mom now and then, or I'm just checking in on dad every night by calling him or picking up his mail. But those are all contributions, caregiving contributions. Caregiving is not just limited to helping someone get dressed or giving them medication. That's part of it, but there's many other caregiving contributions that you can be making. So I would say undervaluing yourself as a caregiver, and not recognizing that what you're doing is important, and you have a role to play, and they need that support, and it's a growing and learning experience too. So I think besides undervaluing or not identifying yourself as a caregiver, because that's what you are, I think limiting yourself to what that means or what that looks like, because in a lot of families there may be conflicts or tensions because someone's not helping enough, or we don't like the way this person is helping. And I think that is an area that gets a lot of people in trouble too, when everyone has something to contribute, everyone has something to offer, and we all have the opportunity to play a role. Now there's typically a primary caregiver, there's typically a point person, but to put caregiving in a box like this is what caregiving is, I think is a mistake, because then you lose the opportunity to have other people contribute in a way that's comfortable to them and suits their role. So that's another issue I see where people get stuck, or there's tension or resistance because they're thinking, well, this is what caregiving is, so I guess I have to be the one to do it, or she's better at that than I am. I'm going to be over here not doing anything, when there's ways that everyone can help. So
exactly.
And then and on that theme, thinking that you can do everything alone. So if you are that point person, and something I've been saying a lot this week in different coaching conversations I've had, and even just in my own conversations with people about my caregiving experience this week, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
So you really have to evaluate and set boundaries for yourself. If you are the primary caregiver, evaluate what's the best way that I can help my parent or brother or spouse, whoever it is that they're caring for. Is this the best way I can help them? And what does that look like? And that it's an ongoing conversation. Again, that kind of goes with putting it in a box. It's an ongoing learning experience. So I think
I love that. You said the box part, because a lot of times, you have this, thing in your head that you think it should be this way. This is what a caregiver looks like. This is how I should be caring for. It's like, no, we could all share it. We can all have different things that we're good at, but there's no cookie cutter caregiver that you need to be. Just be yourself and do it well as best as you can. Yes. So what are some books that you have that you've come across, or that you've recommended to some of your clients that our audience may be able to find useful?
Well, one of them is called Your Caregiver Relationship Contract, and it's written by Deborah Hallisey, and she has a website called Advocate for Mom and Dad. Well, it can be pronounced advocate or advocate, whether it's being an advocate or advocating.
Right.
And she put a book together from her experiences in caring for her dad and mom. She still cares for her mom, but her father has since passed away. And it's again, sort of this idea of roles, and everyone has a role to play. And a lot of times when you get into a caregiving situation, suddenly you're reminded of things like, these unwritten expectations of each other, or, wow, I never interacted with my dad in this kind of close way. And I don't know, maybe we should have a home care provider, or maybe we should consider ALF for him because we don't have the right kind of relationship connection for me to provide personal care for him, just as an example.
Right.
So she writes about how relationships change because of caregiving, and how important it is to communicate and think about how those roles are shifting and how it could be affecting, the way you're interacting with each other. The way you're meeting each other's needs too. I mean, sometimes, if your role was always to be the responsible daughter, the oldest child that took care of everything, and maybe you're not in a place in your life with your job or your own family where you can provide that level of support, you know, maybe even though that had always been your role to be the dependable oldest child, it might not be the right fit for the phase of life you're in. So she kind of delves into all of those different contracts that we have, so to speak, with each other. And then another great book is David Solie, Solie. He writes his book is How to Say It to Seniors. And I'm just looking because it's a long title. Closing the conversation gap with our elders. And so he talks about ways you can have difficult conversations with your older adult parents, siblings, etc. How to talk to them about care changes, care transitions, care options in a way that doesn't make them feel talked down to or patronized, but that they are an active part of the decision-making process. Because I'd say that's another mistake that gets made, is just, you know, sort of taking over and commandeering the process and not getting their feedback on what their preferences are. I think in some cases, there may be a person that would like to go to independent living, but if the children or the spouse assumes that they want to be home cared for by their family, then, you know, they could miss out on that opportunity. So I think it's so important to to remember that the person at the center of the decision should have some say, right? I mean, it seems obvious, but
just
a lot of times
you may be surprised.
And, you know, so and then another one is 12 conversations, how to talk to almost anyone about long-term care planning. And that's by Kathy Sikorsky. And she has been a caregiver for a long time. She's also an elder law attorney, so she has a lot of great background and context. And so this 12 Conversations book is brand new, but she talks about how to have a conversation with your doctor, how to have a conversation with a community provider, perhaps like you, how to have a conversation with a sibling that maybe isn't on board with the decision. So that's those 3 books I would highly recommend.
Awesome. Thank you. And the very last question, very brief question. What does aging mean to you? You're a caregiver advisor. What does aging mean to you?
Well, at first I thought, that's an interesting question. I thought it's an interesting question. And I would say, even though I'm a writer and I can get very wordy about things, in one word, I would say it's growing. I would say growing. Aging is growing, because we're all aging. And so we're all growing older, and we can choose to, you know, enjoy the experiences of growth that come with aging, or we can resist them. So I think aging is growing.
And that is totally fine. Growing is beautiful, right?
Yes, right.
Growing is beautiful.
I think there's too much emphasis on the negative aspects of aging.
Growth.
So I like to think of it.
The word growth is great. Growing. So it's wonderful. Well, thank you for that. So tell our audience where they can find you before you head out.
Sure. So my website is caregivingadvice.com, and you can read a lot of our blogs there. You can connect with us there. There's a web form to fill out, but we also spend a lot of time on Instagram, and we do an Instagram live coffee chat. It's sort of a virtual support group for caregivers, and that's free, and that's on Mondays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So that's a great place to find us too. And on the website, there's links to all of the other social channels we're on. But yeah, the website and Instagram are the best places to find us.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Dear friends, we will be able to, down below, you'll have a link to have access to everything that Michelle is doing with caregivingadvice.com, and she'll be able to provide you with tons and tons of resources. So we want to thank her today for being able to stop by. We had a great time with her, and take care, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.